Hi everybody, welcome to the bench. Today we have the BOGEN CHB-10 up here, and it was a cool little build that I did, I don't know, a year or two ago, and this was a special build because it's obviously not in the original case that the CHB-10 normally comes in. I got this McMartin lid, and it fit perfectly on here, so I was able to use this McMartin lid, and then I took the Challenger badge and put it on there. So I have another part of a video that's going to show the reconstruction process of this chassis. There's a little gut shot of what I've done to it, but it was a definite rat's nest, mouse nest. There were turds, there was junk and funk, and this was one of the nastiest amps I've ever seen in my life. I would think it would rival the Guitologist video that he just put out the other day, where he was saying it was full of mouse turds and stuff. This thing was bad. It was a toxic biohazard. So also I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the 7868 tube. The CHB-10 came with a 7868 power tube, and I'll give you a little bit of information about the 7868 since a lot of people don't seem to talk about it a lot. It is a 9-pin mini beam tetrode. And let's see, I got some notes on it here. I took some notes off the internet, so just so you know, I'm not memorizing any of this stuff. But so 9-pin mini beam tetrode, rich, warm, detailed tone, impressive headroom, ample power for its size. It's got clear highs, tight bass without sounding harsh, but my conversion always sound harsh, so it's borderlining on distorting and stuff the way I've kind of got it converted. It's got an open, airy sound that accurately reproduces subtle details and acoustic decay. It boasts high transconductance, so it requires only a small input signal to produce a substantial amount of power. It's got a lot of clean, towards hi-fi's, robust sound, and all around a good tube. It's just not used a lot. I find it to be a very chimey tube, although right now in this amp I noticed I have a Ruby tube high gain preamp tube in here, so I think if I was to stick something a little creamier than this amp might do something a little different than it does. What I have in here is I have some type of, I believe it was a cathode bypass switch. I'm not sure exactly what I did. Let's take a look here. What do we have? Okay, so front switch, it's got some switching capabilities. Right now, the one to the left is quieter, it's darker, a little more aggressive. One to the right's got a lot more volume increase. It brings it up, brings some of that clarity up and out. And you can see with the knobs, I use guitar knobs, which I thought was kind of a novel idea, volume, tone, and it definitely explains what's here. I found the best tone on this amp to be just to crank them all up to 10 and let the guitar volume do the nuance work. So the 7868 tube is a really neat tube. They're a little finicky with the bass on them. You have to be careful on some of these. For instance, if you're not careful, I have an electroharmonics tube in this socket right here, and it's got thicker pins on it. The Russian pins are thicker than the American ones, like on the RCA, and so what you'll get is if you try to swap them out, you'll get really bad sloppy sockets. Watch. I mean, you can't use that. That would never do. So, but with the electroharmonics in there, it fits in there pretty good without much. It wiggles a little bit, but not uncontrollably bad. So that is one thing about the 7868 tube that you have to watch out for, is that sometimes if you get the electroharmonics ones, the pins will be larger than the American 7868 tubes. Here I also added the pilot light, and you can see it's just it's a little 10-watt amp. It's got tiny little transformers on it. On the back, pretty simple and standard. I just have a speaker output, input, And I have a little switch here, but at this point it seems to be a negative feedback switch, and it's putting negative feedback in or taking it out completely, but it doesn't. Last time I was messing with this, it wasn't doing anything. So I don't know what's going on with this wiring setup at this point. So what I did basically is I used the chassis from the CHB-10. It's a cute little chassis, and used the original switch that it came with. And I added this switch myself. I think the pilot light may go right there. I'm going to open the box, and as another added feature, I actually, on top of having all the schematics for the CHB-10 and the original speaker installation instructions, all of these came with the originals, man, to tell you how to hook them up and everything. It kind of goes through some interesting things that talking to you about speaker connections and balancing and unbalancing, blah blah blah. I was also able to find some schematics from some people online. I have this one here. I don't know who did this one, but there are a couple online that people have done. There was this one, and then there was another one. Sorry if noise here. So I took a couple schematics and looked at them and tried to figure out like what I could do myself. I never seem to like to use other people's mods. I like to look at them and then come up with something that I think that I would like, rather than kind of the mod that somebody else did most of the time. So there's a bunch of schematics for and the publications that came with the CHB-10, and you can see it came in a big box. It doesn't look anything like it did. And I've got the box. Brand spanking new CHB-10. Tube's taken out of it. But this is what they look like when they first came off the press. You can't see the chassis because it's behind the box frame. So I just pulled the chassis out and used it on my own to I sprayed it blue and whatnot. So there's a little bit better version of the CHB-10, and it came in the box. You see here the original BOGEN box, everything. Bought this thing completely cherry spanking brand new. I mean, there isn't anything wrong with this thing. I mean, look at it. It is just in cherry condition. So I keep it like that. I keep it in the box. I keep it tucked away. And this is the one I play with. This is the one I like. So I made a little video of me playing through it, and I also have a video we're going to watch here. I know it's really unprofessional that I didn't have the video queued up on my editing here. We're going to turn around and watch it on the screen, but it's a neat little video about what happened with me getting the amp and kind of going through the process of getting this amp turned into what it is now, the CHB-10. Thanks for watching. Okay. So here's a little shot of the amp when I first got it. You can see the handles, or the knobs, were pretty crusty and rusted out, kind of a little sign of things to come. And I noticed when they had this thing, I get my chopstick here. Hold on. Or whatever I got. I noticed that when I first got this, that this switch was actually a momentary power switch. It was hooked up to the power so that when this was left on, all you would have to do is just come and push it down, and then the power came on, and then you could use it. So it was off until you hit the momentary switch, and when you pushed it down, the power came on, and then you would speak or talk or whatever, and then you would just let off the switch when you were done talking. So it was kind of an interesting setup. And this 5-pin setup was for something I can't exactly remember what. I think they had a remote for it as well. So we'll kind of look at it some more and go through it and figure it out. But this is what it looked like when it first came in, and I'm going to go ahead and start the video next of what I saw when I opened this thing up and turned it around. it was pretty crusty. There was all that rust in there was from mouse piss, and you can see when it focuses in that you'll see that it was just loaded with turds and piss and funk and bedding and mildew and decay. Look at that. I mean, come on, Brad, what do you think? Catologist? Was that as bad as yours, or worse, or what? I can't even believe I wasn't even wearing gloves. I mean, look at that thing, man. Oh my God. Oh, I mean, like, I should have just tossed it in the garbage. I think anybody else would have just probably thrown it away. But not me. I saw something else in it. I saw an opportunity for something cool. And flip it over here with a little gut shot the way it came. And that's the initial wiring from Bogen. Not much of a layout, just a strict point to point. I've had a lot of people tell me that these are Class A amplifiers, but I have my doubts that they're biased for Class A, and none of the documentation says anything about it. So I'm kind of skeptical. But I've had people say, "Oh, those CHB-10s those are Class A's, 7868s." But I mean, look at that. Look what was in there. I mean, who lived in there for how long? And like, what was in my head to go ahead and take on this thing? I mean, look at all the yellow piss up there and stuff. And this thing stunk too. You wouldn't believe the way it smelled. I mean, the sockets. I mean, everything on this amp smelled like rat piss, mouse piss. I don't know what it was, but it was funky. I mean, what the heck? I mean, look at that. What is that? What is all that stuff in there? Ugh. So we'll continue on. There's another shot of it, a photo kind of pulled out, torn out. And see, I had my hands full. Some more pictures there. And once I started getting it cleaned off and sanded down and started looking at it a little more closely, this is kind of what I was left with. And pretty bad. There's an up-close shot of how pitted it was. I'm pretty sure that was urine that was on there that caused that. And here's another little video. Got it on the Lazy Susan. Just kind of turning around, showing it off. I'm just in disbelief. Just in disbelief that, you know, something could be neglected like this bad. And you know, I somewhat kind of excited too in this video that I get to transform this, because I knew in my head what I was going to do to it, and I knew if this thing was working right and everything still worked out okay. I was trying to get a little shot of the can cap here, that I was going to try and bring this sucker back to life and make it something cool and you know, something cool. So not much to it. These are easy amps to figure out if you get involved and get in. These are good starting amps for people who want to learn how to start building. I suggest if you can find one of these things, pick it up, tear it apart, put it back together, see how it works, see what they do. This is a very, very basic amplifier in its design, and what a great place for someone to start. And I recommend starting with something like this that you can take and manipulate and make it your own and figure it out. And it's super easy with something as little as what's going on here. And I highly recommend it. It's what I did. I spent a lot of time with my face in this amp trying to figure it out for as little as it had in it. But, you know, once I was able to get it solved, get the puzzle solved, you know, you only level up from there next time. So that's all I have to say about that. Anyways, moving on. Okay, so here we get to the spot where I started priming it. sanded and painted the transformers. You see I masked it off and primed the chassis. I used some Bondo glazing spot putty to try and fill in the scratches and the imperfections. It did okay. I didn't spend a ton of time on it, but I did what I could to try and make it look as best as I could, I suppose, but without going crazy for days and days. And there was the shot right after I painted it. It had different knobs on it at the time. I had these little top hat knobs, which are pretty cool. I like those. I hadn't put the little pilot light in there yet, and I covered up one of the rivets. There were little rivets in there with the Bondo, so that didn't look very good. But here you can see where things were headed, and I love that color. I kind of masked, taped off some things in the back to try and kind of give it some writing still, and there's the lid. So there was kind of the final look of the CHB-10 rat rod to hot rod. Rat house to hot rod. up on the bench. We got this bad boy up here. We're gonna take some voltages and see where we're at. Man, this thing's got the most beautiful cleans. Burning the carpet. All right, let's take a B plus here. 340. 340 is what's feeding the primary for the output transformer. 312 and 303 is the voltage ladder on this thing. So that's what kind of B plus we're operating at. See if we can see what our plates are running at here. 325 on the plate. So now that might be a little hotter, I think, than what the tube is being called for. I think it's supposed to be at 300. We'll have to look it up and see. But I just want to get this thing up on the bench and kind of mess it around with it. And I really love this amp. I don't play with it enough, that's for sure. Alright, so this has been a little video about the CHB-10. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for hanging out with me. It's a cool little amp. I've been waiting for a really long time to make this video. I've been hanging on to these pictures and this stuff for a long time, and I have put it off, and I've really been wanting to make a video about it and show this cool little amp off, because I think it's a neat little gem in my collection. And I hope you got something out of this video. Take care. Love you guys. Bye-bye.